Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Eric Velasquez. I'm interviewing the candidates for the City of San Antonio 2021 elections that are coming up here on April 19th. And that's for early voting. April 19th to April 27th, and election day is actually May 1st. So it's coming up quick. So let's start doing some research if we haven't already. And keep following some of these interviews that we have, so that way you can get a better idea of the candidate that's running. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring our next guest. Hi, Corinne. How are you?
How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining. And just go ahead and I guess just start off and introduce yourself.
I'm Corinne Saldana. I am a native San Antonian. I went to school at Fenwick, Washington Irving, and then Jefferson High School. Then I went to college at Southwest Texas State, where I got a bachelor's degree in Spanish and math. And I have been teaching since 1970. I retired as a teacher, administrator, principal in 2007. And education has been my passion from the time I was a child. That's all I ever wanted to do was teach. I got to do it. I loved my career.
Yeah. So what was that like for you? Have you done this before, or is this your first time?
First time ever.
So what was that? What did that look like for you as far as the commitment to jump into it? Because obviously this isn't a paid position. So what was that motivator for you to go into this and throw your hat into the ring?
Because of my passion for education, when I retired after 37 years, I knew that I was done, quote, with a job, but I have continued to be a volunteer at the schools, especially where my grandkids go to school and where my daughter works, just because, and at Holmes High School, where I spent my career, just because I believe so much in public education that I couldn't let it go completely. And then when I discovered that Mrs. Reed was going to retire as a board member in our district, I felt like that was my opportunity to jump back in and continue to give, particularly to the Northside School District, because it had provided my children with such a great education and my grandkids were having a great time, that I thought this is one way that I can continue to be involved with education and yet give back, because like you say, it is a volunteer position and it does require a lot of extra time on someone's part. And I just felt like I had the time, and I certainly have the passion for education. So that was why I decided to do it.
And this is going to be a little bit of a tough question, just because it's happened in some other school boards. And what are some things that you can kind of guarantee the public that you won't allow things to happen like it has, like with Harlandale, the school board, where they got into some lawsuits with a company that they had favored for so long, and it turned out that the school board had favored this company and didn't even allow other companies to bid. What are some promises you can give to the public that you won't, or you will hold the other board of trustees accountable as well?
Well, one thing is the Board of Trustees in Northside sign an oath before they take or when they take office, that we are there to oversee the district. We are not there to micromanage. We are not there to play politics. We are there to work as a team of 8, the 7 trustees plus the superintendent. And I think I can proudly say that you don't see Northside in the newspapers, having those kinds of arguments and trying to play politics. And I've never seen it in the 33 years that I worked in Northside. Our board members have always been for the students and the staff. And I believe that we would continue. As a matter of fact, when I went to the orientation, that was stressed very strongly, that We're not there to play politics. We're not there to take sides with individuals. We're there to take care of our school district and to answer to our patrons and to do the best that we can for our students. So I don't see that as being a problem in Northside, but I certainly would be one of those that I would be strongly opposed to anything that would even look like it would be political and it could create problems with our school district.
Gotcha. And one of the other candidates that we had talked about, um, there being accountability with the spending and how the spending is being done, and mentioned about $9 million to do a cafeteria floor. Um, are there things that kind of raise red flags like that things like this could be costing a lot of money where it doesn't need to be costing a lot of money?
Well, first of all, we have to go back and think about what is fair for all our schools. And Northside, growing as fast as it has grown, has had to build a lot of new schools. But that doesn't mean that because they have these new beautiful buildings that they're going to leave behind the schools that were built back in the 60s. We have to keep up, and if it means updating a cafeteria for one of the older schools, then that's what needs to be done. But I think, and I don't know which candidate would have said that, but whichever candidate did, are they aware that Northside's financial rating is one of the best in the state, particularly for the size of our school district? We have very, very high ratings in our financial department. And as a campus principal, I had my budget, obviously, but I have yet to see Northside waste money. If anything, when we've had bond issues, all our bond issues, I'm trying to think back, but I'm almost positive all our bond issues have passed because they have been very prudent in the way that they spent the money, and there has even been money left to be able to repair or replace other things. So I don't have a problem at all with the way Northside spends their money. Not everything that I have read. And I do read that every year when it comes out in the newspaper. I glance at it, I go through it to see, how did the bond come out? But the residents of Northside have not had their money spent badly. And I think that's why they continue to support our bonds.
Now, you said the residents.
Yes.
Now, I mean, let's kind of be a little honest here. There doesn't tend to be a real big um following with what the school boards are doing from a lot of people that I speak with. They have no idea what the board of trustees do or the school boards do. So do you think there might be not enough insight on the general public that are paying attention to all these things?
I don't think the general public pays attention. I think the only time that attention is drawn is if there is a major issue, then people start paying attention. But mostly the school board is not supposed to be the one that's heard. That's the superintendent and the staff, his staff. Our job is to see that they are doing their job. It is not for us to be in the middle of everything that's going on. We shouldn't even be known to most of the district, because that's not what our job is. Our job is to make sure that our money is being spent properly, that our schools are being run by the best people that we can hire, that we're doing everything that we can to support the superintendent and be a part of the goals. And to me, a lot of times silence means that you approve. We haven't had scandals. to be able to come out and say, this is going on in Northside and they're trying to hide it. I don't think that's the case, because since I've retired, I keep up with what's going on, and I haven't, in the residents that I have spoken with, there isn't an issue of we're trying to hide, the board is trying
Yeah.
to hide something. Silence to me means that the
Right.
board is doing their job.
And by all means, I'm not insinuating that the board is doing anything wrong. I'm just saying that um you know that not enough people pay attention or know what to look for, you know what I mean, to make sure that people are held accountable. Same thing with city council. A lot of people don't know what to look for, right, in order to make sure those people are held accountable for things like that. And so with like Harlandale, if people don't know what to look for and they see some things, they just look at it from an outside perspective, they don't know what to actually look for. Some of these things could go underneath the rug and be hidden in plain sight that people don't know, you know what I mean?
I disagree with you, Eric. I don't think school boards can do that, because they're also accountable not only to the patrons, but they're accountable to the state. And the information is available. People just have to ask. If you want information, you just log on to the NISD.net website and you can find it there.
Mhm.
So, you've mentioned Harlandale a couple of times, and I remember several years ago, because one of my very good friends was the superintendent at Harlandale. So I kept up a little bit with that just because of him being the superintendent. But Harlandale allows them to hire their relatives. Northside doesn't allow that. For example, if I'm on the school board, none of my relatives can come on. I have relatives that are in the school district working right now, but once I get elected, I can't have my son or my daughter or granddaughter become a teacher in Northside. We don't allow that, so we don't get into the politics of it. Whereas in Harlandale, they encourage that. They wanted, more relatives to work in the school district. And you sign a note saying that won't be the case.
Gotcha. And thank you. Thank you for that. And, I think it's important to kind of talk about some of those situations just because a lot of people don't know. I have no idea either, just because I don't know. I didn't know that NISD has that type of policy, and with Harlandale, it's a little bit different. So it sounds like each district could be a little bit different, and that's why
Yes.
I think it's important to kind of talk about some of these things, so that way the public does know what to look out for. If especially with them, you want to look at some of these things, and with NISD, I don't know exactly. Like I said, the one of the other cans was talking about a little bit overspending on something that didn't need to be spent as much as what it was. So, but I don't know. That's why we want to try to find out these answers to some of these questions and what you think about them. So with everything with COVID, what are some things that you would like to see happen with COVID and opening and or keeping them limited? Because you guys would also be in charge of that, correct?
That's the superintendent and his executive staff that makes those decisions. We would probably be involved with some of that, especially if there would have to be some changes made. For example, there's talk that we could end up having one group of kids that would be strictly online, those that have compromising immune systems, that type of thing, and then the rest of the students. But I have been very much aware of everything that's going on because my grandchildren are Northside students, and they've been live whenever they can. They don't stay home very often. And my daughter works in the district. She goes every day, and she has been. And it has been a very, very difficult year for the teachers because they're having to work with the kids that are there and the kids that are online. Changes have been made regarding exams and how to give a test and how to do homework. And when they check in. I mean, it has created a tremendous workload for a lot of people in the district. The people that had to set up all of the technology to make this work, and then be available to constantly make corrections or help a teacher if her website goes down or the computer goes down or whatever. The teachers have just worked hours and hours more than they normally would. And so as the new board, because there would be possibly up to 3 new people, there are 2 incumbents, but there could be 3 new board members. It's, we're going to have to look at innovative ways to continue our services for our community, because it's going to be a different year. In my mind, in my opinion, I think our kids have probably lost a year of teaching. And I guess I'm a little bit more concerned because my field was in mathematics. And first of all, it's not a subject that a lot of kids want to take. And even the parents will tell you, oh, I'm not any good at math, I can't help them. So we have a lot stacked against us. And then when this happened, I just can't even imagine how far behind our kids are going to be, particularly in math and science. And that, we're just going to have to think outside the box, I think, to be able to get our kids back caught up, figure out how we're going to do that. What are we going to need? Are we going to have to go to an extra month maybe? Are we going to have to offer free summer school? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to catch up when it comes to math and science.
So what's your vision on the STAR testing? Is the general consensus between the board members or the candidates as well, do you agree with the STAR testing, or do you think that it's not a good way to gauge the students?
Eric, I'm kind of torn with that, because I understand we have to have accountability, and we have been testing for years and years and years. That's not anything new. But does the state really have to spend the amount of money that it costs to produce the STAR test and then to, and I'm not sure. On the other hand, if we don't have accountability, then how do we know if our schools are doing their job? You hear so much today about, if you're in the Northside School District, you're going to get a better education than if you're in San Antonio, let's say. And that shouldn't be the case. Our public schools are supposed to be run by great superintendents, and we're supposed to be trying to hire the best teachers possible. And so, algebra is algebra. You're whether you're teaching it here, whether you're teaching it in California, New York, whatever, algebra is algebra. And we have to be able to work with our kids. But if all we're doing is teaching to a test, are we really helping them? Are we preparing them for the ups and downs of life? And I don't know, I guess I was fortunate to teach at a time when I did get to know my students. It wasn't just about the test every day. And now it seems to me that's what curriculum seems to be. If the teacher is teaching algebra, everybody in the district is going to be using pretty much the same worksheets or the same examples or, whatever. I don't know that we're giving teachers the ability to be creative and to continue to be creative with their students. I know that in the classroom, I was always looking for how I could present the subject differently. when we would have young student teachers coming in from the colleges, we all would, want to, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How can I do this for my students? I was constantly wanting to find new ways of presenting the material to keep the kids engaged. But I wasn't teaching either when all the cell phones came in, and now they keep those cell phones and those computers handy, and that takes away a lot of attention. The kids are wanting everything to be quick, the way they do it on their phones, and you can't really teach anything that
Right.
quickly. You have to be able to listen and watch and learn and share with each other. And it's just I don't know. It's testing is one of those things that I don't think you're ever going to have everybody agree that, yes, we need testing. I agree that we probably need it, but I don't think it should run our curriculum. I don't
Mm.
think it should dictate to us what the curriculum is going to be. I think teachers need to have the opportunity to be creative with their students in
Right.
presenting the material.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the majority of the people I've talked to already that are school board candidates, and it's same thing. It's they don't like the way that it's you have to teach to the test, and that's how you get funding, and that's the only thing that people really are caring about, and it's kind of, so what do we do as citizens, right, to help change this? Because I mean, obviously the teachers are
That's
burned out, right? The teachers are
that's the
burned out,
legislature.
right? So
Legislature makes those decisions, and so we need to be involved in the voting process. We need to contact legislators. That's not something that the school district
oh
can
yeah,
say,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
well, we're not going to do it.
Oh yeah, no. I totally understand it. I'm just saying, from your perspective, what is something that we can do? What do we tell our legislators? What do we tell them to
we
do?
we tell them to interview, contact teachers. They're the ones that are in the trenches. They're the ones that are having to see this every day. The parents know that their student has to take these tests, but the teachers are the ones that are in the trenches, and I'm not sure that the legislature ever takes the time to talk to the teachers. I think that every legislator should have to go and be in a classroom uh, several times a year just to see what it's like for that teacher and to see what it's like in the different school districts, because every school district, like we just talked about, every school district has their different policies. But when you walk into the classroom, that should be the teacher's domain, and she should be able to teach. But then again, I'm such a proponent of public education that we need to support our teachers with particularly the discipline. We have got to. If you don't have discipline, you can't teach. And if you're allowing students who have, uh, for a better word, who have committed a crime, and they're still allowed to be in the classroom, you don't know when that student is going to have one of their outbursts for whatever reason. And if that happens, everybody suffers in that class that day, that period. So the teachers are the ones that the legislators need to talk to them. They need to get their viewpoint, and what are some of the changes that could be done. I don't think we'll ever do away with testing, to be honest with you, but I don't think it should be the end all. I think that's where the stress comes in for teachers.
And students,
Yes, yes,
and
exactly.
to be honest with you, last year when I ran for Texas House of Representatives, I heard the same thing from people. It's they were tired of the testing. I talked to
And I'll
teachers.
ask you, Eric, when
Yes,
you were running, did you did you go and talk to teachers?
yes,
Did
yeah,
you get
yeah,
there?
and
Good,
there was so many of them that were like, the one specifically that I remember, he was like, the government just has a one size fits all approach to this, and that's not how we all work. Everybody's
That's
different.
right.
Every
That's
student's
right.
different. Teacher's different, and so nobody consults the teachers and the people that are on the ground. And so they're just having a higher level talk with other people, and they're not actually talking to those teachers that are working day and night, and having, like you were saying, is constantly hours and hours of work, even at home, and things like that. Even substitute teachers, I think
Oh
people
yeah.
don't reach out to. So yeah, that's a lot of things that I really wanted to get a better mindset of when I was running, and I think it's important for everybody to do that, to talk to those people as well, but everyone as well. I mean, because you can't just talk to as much as superintendents, I'm sure they're great. You can't just speak with a superintendent and think that you're going to get the full story, because to be honest with you, it's almost like in the military, if you had a high ranking, officer come in to your workplace, you knew about it like 2 days before, and you had to clean up, and you had to make everything look nice and pretty,
Right.
you know, and
No, I agree. The superintendent is great to speak about the district, but you have to speak to the teachers to know what is going on in the district, because they're the ones that are having to make decisions on this. And then a lot of times they're the ones that have to follow through on decisions that are made from the higher ups. And again, and I'm glad you brought up the one size fits all. One size does not fit all when it comes to education, because the students who grow up in poverty are not going to have the same experiences when they get into elementary school, middle school, or high school as the student who lives with parents who graduated from college, who have been able to afford vacations, travels, trips, watching documentaries. None of that none of that is taken into consideration so many times when decisions are made. They want everybody to take the same test, regardless of whether are in a foster home or in some kind of an environment that is not with family, or whether you even have two parents at home, versus the kids who have everything for them at home: air conditioning, heating, food, transportation, their computers, their phones, everything. You can't teach the two extremes and expect to have the same result. And that's where the teachers who are teaching at the lower extreme, it's totally different. And that was one of the things when I was campus principal. I was not very quiet many times. I did speak up because our students were primarily low income, and I was being compared to the students on the other side of the district that were high income. And it was, you can't do that. We're going to get to the same point by graduation, but it's going to take us a little bit longer. Our ninth grade scores are not going to be the same as the ninth grade scores on the side of the district where they don't worry about economics. Whereas, and so I was constantly bickering about those expectations that my kids were not going to be the same kind of kids as they were at, say, O'Connor or Brandeis. That's not the way it is.
Mhm. And so, what would you like to see with the teacher pay, and how maybe can you be involved with how teachers get paid? Is that something that the board of trustees were to possibly be in that mix as well, or no?
Uh, I'm not sure how much of a say the trustees have. I know that they have to work with the budget, and they have to approve the budget. But all of us have to understand that the state of Texas gives us a minimum income, that they help with. And then everything else has to come from taxes. that's the only way our teachers get paid. And that's probably why we don't see the salaries that we wish we could pay the teachers, because it's a tax thing. And do you raise taxes on your patrons? And in Northside's case, with us growing the way that we are, how do you raise the pay and at the same time build new campuses? All of that has to come from tax dollars. So it's very difficult to be a growing school district, because you do have to spend so much more money on building than a school district that is already set.
Mhm.
So I don't know how we raise teacher salaries. I just wish we could. I think they deserve it, obviously.
Right. And okay, so if let's say if they were to say, let's say if they end up changing the legislature, or end up saying that they're not going to do STAR testing after all for this year. I know they still said that they're still going to do that, but if they weren't going to do that, is there any way that the teachers could teach something outside of the STAR testing as like a pilot, so that they can show that maybe there's other alternatives than the STAR testing, or are we
You
not
mean
there yet?
for this year? Are you talking about for this year because of COVID? Or are you talking future?
Well, both. Yeah. So for COVID, and if for some reason they don't, like, but just in the future, like something like a pilot program to where we can do something like that, to where we can maybe hopefully replace that. Or do you think it's just not
Well,
even
I think the state has had so many different versions. Right now it's the STAR version, but they have tried testing just the core areas: English, math, history, and science. They have tried uh, each subject: algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry. Uh, I don't know that, again, that we will come to a compromise on that, because of the diversity in Texas and the size of it. But I will go back to the legislature. They're going to, I'm pretty sure, require testing. And we can do pilots because we've done that before. And we've tried. We've had just right off the bat, we had tabs, we had teams, we've had STAR, we've had end of course, to where you couldn't progress to the next level if you didn't pass the exam for that particular year in that particular course. So we've tried a lot of different things, Eric. And
was there something that you saw work that actually did work, or it's still kind of the same? It's
actually, the one thing that I saw work the best in my years of education was the block schedule. I don't know if you're familiar with block scheduling, but block scheduling allowed students to take only 4 classes per semester. But you were in there for an hour and a half. I believe it was an hour and a half per class, maybe a little longer. And so students had more time with the teacher to be able to ask more questions, take more time. And at the end of that semester, we tested. But the problem with block scheduling is that it would be sometimes possible for you to take algebra 1 and not be able to take algebra 2 for another year. And that was too much time between the courses. And it was very expensive because it required more teachers. But the students really had just 4 classes to worry about. Right now they have 8 periods, and I believe they're taking 6 classes. So the discrepancy just in those 2 courses made a lot of difference, because kids didn't have to focus on 6 subjects at one time. And that did work. But like I say, the expense and the other advantage that block scheduling had is that it allowed kids to graduate earlier. Because if they wanted to take 4 core classes every semester, they could, and they could graduate up to a year early.
Hmm. Yeah, I think mine was four class 4 periods a day. I think it was, or I can't remember.
You,
Honestly,
you,
it's
where
been
did
too
you go to
long.
high school?
I went to Burbank.
Burbank?
Yeah.
I don't
So
remember whether Burbank had block scheduling.
I
I
don't
think
think
that was
so.
something that we tried. That wasn't all over the district. I think
Mhm.
that was a pilot, and
Yeah.
we got to do that, and it was awesome. The
Mhm.
teachers love block scheduling. You
um,
can tell I'm an advocate for the teachers.
that's
they're
good.
they're
Yeah.
the ones that are doing a lot of the work.
Yeah, definitely. Um, do you and this question came up before, do you believe that there is a fundamental discrepancy with the way the board members board awards contracts?
I heard about that. I was asked that question earlier. I don't know how the board awards contracts at this time. As a campus principal, we weren't involved with that at all. So I can't tell you how that is done.
Okay.
But I heard that it's not always local, and I wish it would be, but I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Yeah, definitely. um okay, so different change in topics. Okay. uh what are your 3 favorite small business restaurants in the area of the school district? Hopefully you could try to keep it in the school district if you can, but if not, it's fine anywhere around the surrounding area. We're just trying to highlight some small businesses, just that way they can.
Oh, small businesses. Well, there's Camacho's.
Oh,
Camacho's is a small
Camacho.
Mexican restaurant that, believe it or not, opened right before COVID started, and I
uh
have felt so badly for them because, uh, we've tried to keep them going, but so Camacho's was one. Um, I have taquerias uh, around me that I like, but I think it's called Tapatias. Another one. Of course, one of my favorites is Chacho's, and they closed down
yeah.
when on Bandera Road. They closed when COVID started, and they haven't opened, and it just breaks my heart because they've been doing drive-through, but
uh
they haven't opened the restaurant, and that used to be so much fun to go to, just because you could sit outside and let your kids run around if you wanted, or just enjoy being out in the fresh air. And so those are the 3 that I have. They're they're mostly taquerias that you can just order, and you know
hey, those are the best ones.
yeah,
I know, because I have 2 little ones, and I'm like, I'm not getting out. I can't get out with these kids, so I'm like, it has to be drive through or curbside pickup, something like that. So
yeah. Las Palapas is another one that I have loved. I don't know if they're a small business, but that has
yeah.
been another one that drive-throughs. But I
Exactly.
guarantee you, the ones that are open, I've had my shots, so I'm going in.
There you go.
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
So as far as with, yeah, speaking of the shots, I know that the teachers are going to be able to have the shots now. So um do you hear a lot of relief from the teachers that, you know going forward with everything going on?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't talk to a lot of teachers right now because we haven't really gone anywhere.
Hmm.
It's been HEB and either drive through or Chick-fil-A every week. But so I haven't really talked to a lot of teachers about it. But I know it's open to them. But I wish the city would do a sign up so that people could at least get an appointment. It's just so difficult. I had a real hard time. I had a friend who happened to call and got in, and she was able to register me. But I tried and tried and tried, and excuse me, we went to Crossroads several times to see if at the end of the night there would be any shots left. But a friend of mine finally, 2 hours later, got me an appointment. So I was very
Nice.
fortunate.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to speak on about your campaign and why people should vote for you and stuff like that?
Well, if you look at the candidates that I'm running against, I think I have the best resume because I have been my kids attended Northside schools, my grandchildren attend Northside schools, my daughter's a teacher in the district. I taught in the district for 30, or I worked in the district for 33. I was a math teacher for 24 years. I've been an assistant principal. I've been an academic dean, and I've been a principal. I've been a department coordinator. So I have the experience. I know what the schools are like. I feel strongly that we need to continue to work with all of our education. We need to be able to bring in new programs, which Northside is very good about doing. And I just feel like I have the best experience. I can talk to you from a parent's point of view, or I can talk to you from an educator point of view. And I am very familiar with the district. I've lived in the district 40 years, and I just feel like I'm the best candidate.
Awesome. So are there any how can people get a hold of you? Are you taking volunteers, donations?
I I was not taking donations because of the COVID situation. I just did not feel like it would be fair. There are people who are hurting because they lost jobs and haven't been able to do the things that they normally would. So I was not taking donations, but I've had that question come up so many times that I'm reconsidering. But only the $5, $10, $20. I'm not. And my brother-in-law is my campaign treasurer, and so I'm planning to put that on Facebook. I have been dealing mostly with Facebook. Uh, the the people on Facebook have helped me a whole lot by passing it on. Sharing.
Mhm.
I'm planning to send postcards to the residents, and I'm hoping that between that, this like you said, it's a volunteer position, and I feel like my experience speaks for itself. Even even our custodial staff, our bus transportation, our police who were on our campus, they will tell you I was fair. I listened to them. I worked with them. I helped them in any way that I could. And so I just feel like I'm a fair person. And like somebody told me, I'm the principal with principles that can be trusted.
Oh, nice. Well, awesome. Why, thank you, Green. And then before we go, um, what are your top three musical artists?
Oh, that's not a fun question. George Strait has to be at the top of the list, and after that, who cares?
I saw somebody
George
post
Strait.
something.
I
I saw
love
somebody
George Strait.
I saw somebody post something today. It was like it says they got their bank account right. They got their stimulus check of 1,400, and then the next picture is them sending a message to George Strait. How much to play at my niece's quinceañera?
That would be me. Yep. Elvis is gone, so I love his music also, but I'm country western.
Oh, there you go. There you go. All right. Well, thank you, Corinne. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you, Eric.
joining, and anybody that's watching, all the viewers that are watching as well. If you would like to also donate to this live stream just to keep it going, please reach out to me. My Cash App was down below. So if you would like to also donate, please do. I'm doing these for free. I'm not getting paid for these. So if you would like to do so, please do. If you would like to volunteer and help Miss Corinne as well, please do so as well and reach out. So, or share her posts. Share
Corinne
her posts.
Saldana.
Yes. Share her posts on Facebook. What's your Facebook page? Do you have a page for your?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and keep an eye out for some more of these interviews. I have an interview later on today with another candidate for the city council, so please stay tuned for that. And you guys have an awesome day.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.